macro options. This is just useful to understand the macro errors. In any case, if you got an error and if you are unable to understand the error, you can use macro options. It's not mandatory. It is useful just to understand the macro errors. So there are so many SAS options. If you want to see what are all SAS options working behind the SAS, so just execute this. See this. So many hundreds of options are there. Internally, SAS is working based on these options, limitations, ranges, everything. And to view macro options. Okay, I want to see only the macro options. Okay, execute this. These are the macro options. And to know about one macro option, okay, I don't have any idea about one option. To get an idea, here you can write like this. Proc options, option is equals to option name. So here you can specify that option name so that you can get an information in the log window. To enable the option. So by default, one option was disabled. If you want to enable that option, you can write like this. Options, option name. To enable the option. Next, to disable the option. Okay, by default, one option enabled. I want to disable that one. So you can write like this. Options, no option name. So we can disable it. Okay, next some important options. These things. Mprint, Symbolgen, Mlogic. Okay, one by one. First of all, Mprint option. Okay, this Mprint. But I don't know anything about this option, so you can use this one now. Proc options, option is equals to, here you can give the option name Mprint. It will show the information about this option in the log window. Okay, execute this. The log window. Observe this point, it is showing here no Mprint. So it started with no Mprint. If any option showing like this started with no, means we have to understand by default that option was disabled. By default, option was disabled. Actually, this is the concept here. Display SAS statements generated by macro execution. Means this is the use of option here. If you have executed any macro, then it has to display what are the statements executed from that macro execution in the log window. But by default, this option was disabled because to save the execution time. Because if it is printing every time what are the statements executed from that macro, it will take a lot of time, execution time. So to save the execution time, they have disabled it by default. That's what you're showing here, do not. But actually the concept is this one, the display. Okay, by default this option is disabled. Okay, when we need to enable this, okay, I want to recall the macro. one macro here in the project library, suppose print macro. It's in the new SAS session. So first of all, write down this one. Options macro stored SAS macro store is equals to library name. Okay, to recall the macro from this library. Okay. By using this one P macro, I want to print this data set class. Okay, I'm writing like this for example. I want to print the class 1 data set. Okay. Execute this. So nothing. See the log window showing an error, something, but I am unable to understand the error here properly. Suppose if it is showing what are the statements executed from this macro, then it would be easy for me to understand the error. Suppose, but you see here nothing. It is not showing anything. Just see the macro which I have executed is showing that. Then directly it is showing an error. Suppose if it is showing what are the statements executed from this macro, then it would be easy for me to understand this error. So I will do one thing. I will enable the option. So you can write options Mprint just like this. So you can enable it. And if you have any doubt, you can check here. Execute. And see now it is showing Mprint. There is no here. So started directly Mprint. Okay. So display SAS statement. So option enabled. Okay, now you can recall the macro again. Okay, execute and now see the log window. See here, it is showing here two statements executed from this macro. See, in this macro there are two statements. First one is this, print data is equals to dataset name, and second one is run. And in the place of dataset name we have given the class 1. And here it is showing an error, class 1 data does not exist in the work library. Okay, now it is easy for me to understand my error. Okay, in this macro there are only two statements, and here in the place of dataset name I have given the class 1. It is showing that class 1 data does not exist in the work library. Okay, that's all. See, so if you can understand the error without this macro option, it's okay. But if you have got any problem, then you can use the macro option. You can enable it and you can see the log window. Maybe it would be easy for you to understand the error now. Okay, I understood. So class 1 is not there. I think that's a class. Okay, now execute this. You can rectify your error. Okay, now see, printing the class data. See the log window. So these are the two statements executed from the macro now. Print data is equals to dataset name run. So in the place of dataset name I have given class. So it is printing. And every time it's not required for me to print the statements. It's wasting of execution time. So again I want to disable my option. So my doubt is clear, so I want to disable it. So execute this. We can disable it. So this is the concept of Mprint option. Next, this Symbolgen. The Symbolgen option. Same, I don't know anything about this Symbolgen option. So what we need to do first of all, to know about the macro option. So here you can write that one. Okay, execute this. See, same problem. Started with no. then it is showing this one. Means by default this option was also disabled. Actually this is the concept. Write results of resolving macro variable references to SAS log. It will show the macro variable references. Same, by default this option was disabled. See, when we need to enable it is here. I want to recall the macro. Suppose this one, transpose macro. So percentage transpose. So by using that macro, I want to transpose class data set. But here I have forgotten the order. Which one comes first? Either source data set or result data set. I think result data set. Suppose C1. Result data set C1. Source is the class. And I want to transpose these two variables, age, gender. But I am confusing here. Which one comes first? Either source data set or result data set. Okay, execute this. So not transpose, just printed. Just not transposed. See the log window? Showing an error here. Something. But same problem again. I am unable to understand the error. Pop error. So if it is showing what are the references for this, then it would be easy for me to understand the error. But it is not showing anything here. Because by default Symbolgen option was disabled. Okay. Enable the option now. So you can write options Symbolgen. So you can enable it. Now again recall the macro. Execute this. See the log window. So now it is showing the references. There are three parameters. First data set name, then result, then statement. Okay, see this is the order actually. First data set name, then result, then statement. But say I did a mistake here. For the data set name I have given the C1. For the result I have given the class. This statement, this one. So here I did a mistake. So first of all data set name. Data set name is class. Then result data set. Result data set is C1. Then statement. Okay, now execute this. You see data transposed. Selected variables. And see the log window. So these are the parameters, three parameters. Data set name, result, statement. And here you can see the value. Data set name class, result C1, statement is this, val. Okay, this is the correct. So like this we can see the macro variable references. So it would be easy for you to understand your error in any case. That's all. So again I want to disable my option. Because my doubt is clear. Why should I waste the execution time again? So I want to disable it. Symbolgen option. Next, Mlogic option. It is useful to trace the macro execution, total macro execution. Okay, suppose I don't know anything about this. Even by default this option disabled. It's here. Same. Started with no. No Mlogic. Means by default this option also was disabled. This is the concept. Trace macro execution. Here this is the concept. Okay, now I want to recall this macro G1 to generate the graph. Here to recall the macro. percentage macro name. If I want to generate a graph for EMP dataset between the job and salary, if I want to generate a block chart. So I want to generate block chart for the EMP dataset between job and salary. Okay, it will generate a graph, but it won't show any information. So actually I have created this macro, G1 macro, with the help of do blocks with the 3 different loops. So I want to know which loop is true, which loop is failed, what are the parameter references, everything. But in this case, observe, okay, it's working. Graph generated, block chart. But see in the log window, see no information. So nothing, it is not showing anything here. But I want to get the total information. So what are the parameter references, which loop is true, which loop is failed, so which loop has been executed, everything. So for that, you can enable the option now. So options, Mlogic, enable it. And again you can recall the macro now. Okay. Execute it successfully. See the log window. Now it is showing the information. Beginning execution, macro started. These are the parameters. Graph type, dataset name, variable 1, variable 2. 4 parameters. The graph type I have given block. Dataset name I have given EMP. Variable 1 job, variable 2 salary. And here 3 loops. See first loop is this one. Graph type is equals to V bar 3D, H bar 3D is false. First loop failed. And second loop, graph type pi 3D star donut false. Second loop also failed. Third loop, if condition, graph type is equals to block is true. Okay. This one is true. Third loop satisfied. So it has executed third loop. That's a block generated. So then ending execution is completed. Macro closed. So I can see the total information here like this. It may not be required every time, but in any case, if you want to see which loop is true, which loop is failed, the parameter references, everything, the total execution part, you can use this option. Okay, for next time it is not required for me, so I can disable it. So this is the best way. Always practice like this. If you don't require, just disable the option so that you can save the execution time. So these are the important macro options. Mprint, Symbolgen, Mlogic. See, these are not mandatory. Without this, you can use macros. But in any case, if you got an error and if you are unable to understand the error, then you can use these options like this for the learners mainly.